Hi there, this is Steve Spurrier. You can join University of Florida Hall of Famer Shane Matthews and also the two-time SEC Player of the Year every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about the Florida Gators, including news, analysis, opinions, and some of the biggest names in sports. You can find him on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Or you can watch him live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter.
Good morning. We have made it. It is a live edition, a Friday edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It is game day tomorrow. So looking forward to it. Hope you are as well. The Canes will be rolling into Ocala. I guess that's where they're staying. I think that's where the visiting teams stay this evening. We got a lot to talk about. We'll have JC here momentarily, and then we'll have Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel get his thoughts. He also wrote a good piece on the Miami-Florida rivalry back in the day. So, wow. JC, you're on the Titan More hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp.
Yeah.
Did you watch any ball games last night?
I did. I watched some of that somewhat boring North Carolina Minnesota game.
So, I got YouTube TV, so you can put like 4 games on at one time on one screen. If you want to take a nap, watch the damn North Carolina and Minnesota offenses. Holy smokes, are they bad?
Yes. That's what I'm saying. I mean, if you need to cure insomnia, just turn that on and you will be sleeping in no time. But you're right.
I don't know if I've ever seen two offenses that couldn't complete a pass.
Oh, goodness God. I really expected a lot more. But that's, first game of the year, and those two teams were just pathetic. But
no, hey, they both stink on offense. And I don't give a damn if they're going to look just like that 10 weeks from now.
Yeah. Well, North Carolina gets that road win, and that's a good win, I guess, for Matt Brown. 19-17 or something, I think it was. But I think I also watched, believe it or not, I know this has nothing to do with football, but Carlos Alcaraz, who is
he got upset. Nobody cares.
In 3 straight sets. So that was shocking to me. That was absolutely stunning against some no-name guy that was about to retire. I can't imagine what the odds were on that match before it started, but he lost a straight set. So that was on. But now football, it's time to talk football. And I think we're all really eagerly waiting for that ABC triple header tomorrow with the game that we care the most about in the middle of the day at 3:30. It will be absolutely a wonderful atmosphere that we'll finally get to enjoy here in Gainesville. And the weather should be just, it'll be hot, but who cares? It's going to be good to watch football and see these guys run around again and see what Billy Napier has done and what he can what he's prepared for us to start the year. I know it's game 1, and I know there's going to be a few hiccups here and a few hiccups there. Both teams will have it, but I'm expecting a very entertaining game and a game that's going to have a lot of points be thrown up on the board. But that doesn't mean that Florida is going to be really poor on defense. I just think that both teams are going to score points, and I don't expect to see one team really separate from the other. I think we'll have a close game.
Yeah. I think the Gators will probably win by double digits. Is my guess.
Oh, come on, Q. Double digits. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, double digits is 10 points, JC. I think we win by 10.
Okay. Well, that's fair. I mean, you're right. That is.
All right. Let me get to some of these Facebook Lives. I was looking at the box score of the North Carolina game. Max Johnson, Brad's son, who started his career at LSU, then transferred to A&M, and now he's on his 3rd school at North Carolina.
Yep.
JC, he was 12 of 19 for 71 yards and an interception.
I don't know what they've been doing for the last 30 days.
I don't think they're very. He's a decent player. I don't think he's a very good quarterback. All right. So here we go. Jason says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Kerwin and Jerry Odom almost Georgia Tech, NC State. They didn't have the dudes at the end. They had a bunch of guys out for this game too. A lot of their starters. They had a couple of D linemen that did not play in this game.
Yes.
It was good to see my old fellas. I talked to them yesterday. They said they were going to come out swinging, taking their shots, and they played a good game, man. NC State is a ranked team that plays Tennessee next week in Charlotte.
I think NC State will be better. I think McCall will be better. He wasn't necessarily good last night. I'm sure he had some nervousness, if you will, but he missed some.
In his sixth year, why would he be nervous?
Oh, because he's with a new team. It's a new everything, and it's all the newness of it. But I get it. But he missed a lot of passes last night. He missed some passes.
Did. He still threw for 300-something yards.
He did, but they were playing like you said, a very undermanned team that came out and gave it all they had. And so I think Kerwin, for the most part, with the guys he had playing, has to be happy. I always wondered, QB, what would have ever happened here at Florida and I know this is useless to think about, but I always wondered what would have happened if they had given him a shot here at UF. And I just know that offensively, there's not another guy that we know who can draw up ball plays like Kerwin Bell. And I just don't know if the country knows that. You and I know that.
Kerwin is almost 60 years old.
Yeah, he's our age.
And he's not going to get a chance. He's not going to be an offensive coordinator. He wants to be in charge. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
But the
guy knows
offense. He does, but these athletic directors don't know football sometimes. All right.
That's right.
Josh in Mississippi on the Titan MR text line says, QB, I'm in Utah for my brother's retirement from Air Force party. We'll be watching the game here. He predicts 42-17 Gators. Congratulations to your brother, man. Thanks for his service.
Absolutely.
904 says, Kerwin has a really good football team. Kerwin is a top-notch coach, and his teams are always well prepared. Agreed. Panovich, full Gator. Has the game passed me by? Emmett 221, Fred T 228, Eric 210, Neil 210. I have grandsons bigger than running backs I've seen in the games the last couple of days.
Well, you're going to see a couple big ones tomorrow, so don't worry about that.
I don't know if the running backs were those sizes.
What, at Miami?
No, I'm talking about Emmett. I don't remember Emmett being 220 pounds.
That seems awful.
In college.
That seems too big for a guy in the 80s. Yeah. I don't think he was either. Big legs, but Fred was the best. And I think Fred was of that bunch in college. Emmett.
I've said it many times. Fred Taylor's the best running back the Gators have ever had.
There you go. Okay.
In my opinion.
What did you think?
My teammate was the all-time leading rusher.
Eric. Yeah, Eric was.
And I love him, but
Eric was great.
There was nobody as good with the football in his hands, between the tackles on the outside, power, speed, you name it.
Yeah,
than
speed.
Fred Taylor.
Especially on the speed side of it. He was just sneaky fast and nobody caught him. When he got free, you could not catch him.
He wasn't sneaky fast. He was flat out fast.
Well, I just guess he was damn fast. There was
all right, real quick, Tommy in Gainesville on the Titan Mar text line. With the understanding of a tough schedule, we have 7 home games and a total of 9 in the state of Florida, with only 1 in a hostile environment.
Yeah.
If we steal 1 road game and can win the 1 in the hostile environment in Florida, we have the opportunity to win 9 games. Let's do this. Florida 30, Miami 23.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Dan says on Facebook Live, will Coach Bell be able to attend the ceremony for the 84 team? No, he has a game that day.
Yeah.
So he will not be here.
That's right.
Jason says Emmett was around 200 to 205. That's what I thought.
That makes sense.
So, JC, real quick, obviously I watched Kerwin's game.
Did you watch Colorado?
I did watch Colorado. Colorado, that game was just how their game was last year at the beginning of the year. Colorado, I looked at their schedule during the game. I don't know if they're going to win 4 games.
Really?
Look at their schedule, JC.
It's bad. It's tough.
It's tough for their defense is horrible. Travis Hunter's a great player. However, I thought he had at least 3 offensive pass interferences that were not called on him. He pushed off like I've never seen anybody push off. But he's a good player.
Yeah, I mean he is, and it's good that they won this game against this type of team that they played, because looking at that schedule, there's not a whole lot of W's on that schedule. And that
the North Dakota just didn't have any speed on defense.
No, they couldn't run with them.
They had a bunch of JCs out there covering folks.
Well, I used to be very fast, UB. So Nebraska's going to beat them next week. They may have a chance to beat Colorado State. Baylor, no idea. UCF, they'll lose to that team. They'll lose to Kansas State. They'll lose to Arizona. They'll probably lose to Cincinnati, Texas Tech, and definitely Utah, Kansas, and Okie State. So there you have it. And speaking of Kansas,
you have them winning 1 more game.
I do. Kansas, Jalen Daniels is going to be a guy that if he stays healthy will keep that school I think the Big 12 is very, very interesting this year. I really do. I think you're going to see some good football teams out of that. They could easily get maybe two teams.
It's not a bad.
It's a good league
deal. So Kanye Ron on YouTube wants Kerwin to come down on his bye week and be Mr. Two Bits for one of our games.
No, he's not. He's got a job.
He's got a job. He's got to draw ball plays.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. We love Kerwin. We do. We should mention him. His name's got to be mentioned during the ceremony. I mean, he was the quarterback of those grade 80 teams. He's the one that beat the hell out of Georgia and Auburn in back-to-back weeks. That's when they used to play Auburn and Georgia in back-to-back weeks. And those were two of the toughest games Florida's ever had to play back-to-back weeks. And damn it, Georgia and Auburn got their tails kicked in by Kerwin Bell, Ricky Nattil, and the rest of those boys in the mid-'80s. So I will never forget that. That's when I was 20. I mean, I remember I was all the way at college, running up and down the dormitory, telling everybody to watch these guys play, man. And everybody knew it. Florida was the real deal then. And hopefully they can get back to that status. That's what Florida needs. They need a big performance in a highly publicized and watched game against a quality opponent like this. And if they get that, listen, the people down in South Florida, they've already got Miami winning 10, 11 games. Everybody down there is convinced this team is the real deal. We'll see. I don't know. I mean, they got new players too. So they're going to have to show us here in the swamp in front of 88,000 fans that are going to be going bananas in the middle of the day. It's not going to be an easy environment. And Florida's going to show up in their blue and whites, thank God, and look like the real Gators. And they're going to hopefully give us some real performance. That's what I'm expecting. Better defensive performance, good on special teams, and highly productive offense. Why can't we expect that? That's what we should expect, and that's what I think we'll see, and that's what we better see.
Mike says on YouTube, Emmett was the best running back ever at Florida.
Okay. Well, I mean,
that's your opinion. I disagree.
Fine. That's fine. He was the most, I think the most well, look.
I will say this:
at Dallas,
if Fred Taylor
had the offensive line that Dallas had,
he would be the all-time. I mean,
leading rusher of all time, just like Emmett. My goodness,
if you actually watch tape and really watch the running back position, and I'm not taking anything from. I mean, Emmett's a Hall of Famer, the all-time leading rusher.
Absolutely.
I'm just telling you, from power to speed, there was nobody that wore our uniform. In my years since 1988, there was nobody like him.
And I've been watching him since '68, and I can't disagree with that. I totally agree. Fred was the best, and Fred did it with the Jacksonville Jaguars. But if Fred had played with the Dallas Cowboys and those guys up front that Troy Aikman had, I mean, look, take nothing away from Emmett. He was truly great. But Fred Taylor and those guys would have been just as good. I think he would have been just as good.
Electronics World, your local integration and design specialist for smart home automation and entertainment. Go check them out. That's Electronics World. JC, you probably need them to come hook up all your TVs.
I need Shoulder World. I slept on this thing the wrong way with those damn pillows in there. Got to go.
All right. So Guy wants to know on Facebook Live, our offensive line against their D line. How do you think we will fare? I think we'll be fine. Like I said, you hear about all their great players. Highly rated, all that stuff. I feel like people act like we play in the Mountain West Conference week in and week out. You know, we see these guys every week in the Southeastern Conference. So
watch for Damian George at the right guard position. I love that they put him at guard. I think that was a good move. I think Slaughter's a very good center, and I do believe that Arliss Boardingham is going to have 6 catches. Watch that guy tomorrow. I think that's a guy you should watch.
Yeah. 31 Ember says Emmett had the best NFL career. Fred was the best Gator. Well, we said, I mean, Fred had to play for the Jaguars. Let's leave it at that.
And he still played tremendously. I mean, some people are thinking he should be in the Hall of Fame too, playing with the Jacksonville team. So, right? I mean, he had some good teams. Yeah, I mean, Brunell and those guys, but
yeah. And somebody's talking about here, if Emmett had played his senior year, he'd be the all-time. Look, I'm not talking about all the stats. I'm talking about I don't know. I don't even know why it started. Okay, we're done with that. We're done with that. We're done with it.
You got him cranked up about the wrong thing, baby. We got to be thinking about Montrell Johnson. He's going to play tomorrow. You said it the whole way. He's going to absolutely play tomorrow. He wouldn't miss this for the world. Who's going to break out? How about Katie Daniels? Watch to see what you think about this kid after tomorrow. I really believe, like you, that he's going to be quite a playmaker for this team. Gene Wilson, who I've said since the Utah game last year, he's my favorite offensive player outside, I guess, of the quarterback. But watch Eugene Wilson. See how open he can get. Watch his route running. Watch how he runs his routes on 3rd down and 8 or whatever. And that's the kind of thing I think we should really be keeping an eye on. And then, of course, pray like hell these guys can tackle, which I think they will.
All right, Begging Megan on YouTube says, Shane, I loved you as a player, and I'm glad you're a Gator. That being said, I should be ashamed of myself for the way that I give people false hope. You were wrong last year and the year before that.
She is playing that.
Let me go back. Hang on.
Okay.
I said in Billy Napier's first year, if he won 6 games, it would be a modern miracle. Okay. They won 6 games because that's how bad the talent was.
Okay.
Last year, I did predict us to win 8 or 9 games. If you make a field goal and you stop before it's 16, you go 7-5. Look, last time I checked, those so-called experts on ESPN and Fox and everything, they make predictions and they're wrong. I'm not going to be negative Nelly there, pal. So
I think
whether you want to listen to this show or not,
no, she wants
I'm
to listen
supporting
to
my school.
Yeah.
Whether you like the coach, whether you like the quarterback, whether you like the left tackle, if you are a fan, support your damn school. If you aren't, then support another team. It's that simple. What do people want to sit here and tell me? You want me as a former player to sit here and say, we suck, we're not going to win a damn football game. Okay?
Well,
those are the facts. So he might get banned from the program.
Maybe she's just saying, I don't want.
It's a guy.
Begging Megan?
Yeah.
No, Begging Megan's a female. Megan.
We don't. Oh, it is.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Megan. What guy do you know goes around by the name of Megan?
JC.
Yo, Megan, hit that 6 iron, Megan. I mean, hit that.
You never know. Megan. You never know, JC. It's a different world today.
We got dudes trying to play on the LPGA. Yes, we do.
That's exactly right. All right. Matt says, I'm not a primetime Sanders fan, but his son is tough as nails. Absolutely no running game.
Good thrower.
He's a very good quarterback. He can throw it. There's no question about it.
No question about it is right.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. Could be
everybody here says Megan's a troll. Whatever.
No, listen, Megan is just one of those people who's sick and damn tired of being disappointed. I can't blame her for that, but I would tell her to keep an open mind because this means everything that's happened before now doesn't mean anything.
Why do people worry about the past so much? That's what I don't understand.
They feel the pain and the agony, but it doesn't matter today. Today is a new day, and tomorrow's going to be a new team that's running out on that field. And even though everything will feel very familiar to you, it's a new damn team. And hopefully this new damn team's going to show us something new and exciting. Yeah. And I believe it can happen. Now,
and Todd says he agrees 100% with me. The sky's always falling with a lot of these Gators. Look, I don't worry about what happens in the game. I want us to win. Mm-hmm. And if we don't, my life will go on just like it does every day. Some of these people, I don't understand it. Well, Guy says we have 55 new players.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, this is great. We will feel it'll be fun to see how we feel by Monday. Well, by Sunday morning. I mean, that's when you wake up and you realize what you just watched, and it sinks in.
I mean, maybe we should just cancel football.
Well, I'll tell you, some of these damn Gainesville City commissioners tried to do that during COVID. I swear to God, I'll never forget it, or forgive them for it,
or shut down golf courses.
Yeah,
they're good at that.
Yeah, they're very good at that. But hey, look, I mean, the season has begun. This is what we've been waiting for. The off season is long and hard, and it's time to get it out there. Let me ask you this, QB. And I'm sure Edgar would know, but what is the kicking game going to be like for the Florida Gators?
It should be good. We got a really good punter. The Australian kid's still here. And Trey Smack kicked pretty well for the most part last year.
Trey Smack, yeah, that's right. I
mean, he missed a couple of crucial ones, but
well, he's still. I think
that.
He got it through the post quite a bit. And think about guys like Devin Moore. Think about guys like Shamar James. Think about guys like Pup Howard.
I'm just telling you. Look. I'm not for excuses. Look, I don't. People can sit here and talk about. You keep hearing about the schedule. I don't care about the schedule. I still think we are good enough to win 8 or 9 games. You got 7 of them at home, man.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of home games.
A lot of football home games. And really, like you said, the trip to Tennessee, the trip to Mississippi, and the trip to Texas, the only 3 games out of Florida. Very difficult, but that you got to go out there and kick it off and see what happens.
Florida victorious.
Yeah.
Begging Megan, you may need to join today to help make Florida victorious. You worried about the line of scrimmage? Get out your checkbook. Write some checks for some big uglies to come in here to block somebody.
She's definitely playing the negative. She's trying to do the reverse.
I'm joking around. I really don't care.
She's doing the reverse.
Think it's funny. Always negative.
Doing the reverse.
Negative nonstop.
What did Army Sniper says it's 2024, JC? What the hell did I say? Did I say something different about that? I must have. I don't remember.
All right, JC, let's get to our Peachland Dental. Gator
baby.
Nation's #1 choice for dentistry, Port Charlotte, surrounding areas. Go visit them at peachlanddental.com. How did we do on our picks yesterday? I know we both had North Dakota State. We said
we called that one, and then we pushed on the Minnesota game because that was a 2-point spread. It was a 2-point game. So 1-1.
So what do we got today? What games do we have?
All right, here we go. We're going to start off with this ABC triple header, which I mean, get your workout in early, get your sweat on. If you're not going down to tailgate and go to the Florida game, do something physical because from noon until midnight, you're going to be watching football.
Begging Megan says 8 or 9 games is laughable. Maybe laughable to you. You obviously, whoever Begging Megan is, has never has no competitive juice at all in her body or probably ever played a sport.
No, don't go. You got to offend her. She's just saying, I just don't believe it. So let's see if they can.
But my point is, JC, and I try to tell people, if you are a competitor, do you think Western Carolina thought they had a chance to win the game yesterday?
Absolutely.
Yes or no?
They went out there thinking they were going to win.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you think Kerwin and his squad practiced all summer saying we're going to get on the bus and go to Raleigh and get our ass beat and we don't really care?
Collect a check and go home.
Yeah. That's why people that have never played sports don't have that mindset. They have this mindset of playing video games and reading magazines and just think what happened in the past is going to happen. So, all right, let's go to our picks.
We're starting off at noon with that wonderful game in Atlanta, which I'm surprised is at noon, but it is between Clemson and Georgia, 2 old rivals. I can't understand why this game is a double-digit spread. I know Georgia's good, but Clemson's got a lot of damn athletes and players. I'm taking Clemson getting the 12 points, QB.
I like the Tigers, too. I think they're going to be much better than people think. They're my ACC team to win the ACC.
Yeah.
Okay. Be a good ball game. I think Georgia's going to win it, but I think Georgia wins it less than.
Yeah,
I thought it was like a 14-point game.
I think the numbers. Well, the numbers come down to the 12 this morning, but it was higher than that. Just like last week when Georgia Tech was a 13.5-point underdog, the game kicked off at 10.5. Even though for some reason more money was on FSU, they brought that number down. I don't see how that worked, but that's how it worked. So people lost. And Vegas won last week. The next game, which is it is a rivalry game. This is a big game in Morgantown, West Virginia, because Penn State and West Virginia, that area up there, there's not a lot of college football. There isn't. You've got Pittsburgh in the city, but a lot of people really don't think about the Panthers. They think about the Steelers. But you got the Penn State team, only college in the state of Pennsylvania, against the only school in West Virginia outside of, I guess, Marshall, you could say. But that's an 8-point spread at home for the Mountaineers, and I'm taking the 8. I think Penn State will be good. I think they'll be highly competitive. I think Clifford will be a fine quarterback. He wasn't that great against Ohio State, Michigan last year, but James Franklin has to win this game. I think Penn State will, but I think West Virginia keeps it inside.
I mean, I like West Virginia at home getting the points as well.
Yeah, we don't. We're both agreeing. Okay, we're going to do a different one. South Dakota State at Okie State, and the curious thing here is
give me the Jackrabbits. I don't even know what the line is.
You love them, but here's what it's curious to me that it's only a 10-point spread. Okie State is a team that's thought to be potentially a playoff team. They're thought of as a team that could win the Big 12. They've got Ollie Gordon. Mike Gundy will dial up some plays. You know he's a good offensive play caller. Oklahoma State's loaded this year, and I'm going to take them to cover the 10. You got the Jackrabbits. Okay.
I do like the Jackrabbits.
How about Sunday's game? The only game being played. You got the only game being played out in Las Vegas. Imagine, you and I both know how great the LSU fans are about supporting their Tigers and traveling. They're probably the best fan.
They're going to take over Vegas.
Best fan base in America, really. When you think about just based on the way they travel. I mean, you've got people tailgating for softball. All right, in Oklahoma City. Here's LSU playing Southern Cal, which I think is going to be a fascinating game. You got Garrett Nussmeier in his debut, basically as a starter. You got this kid Miller Moss from Southern California. Lincoln Riley, has he figured out defense? Nobody knows. But Southern Cal's getting 4.5, and they're going to score up and down the field on. I think both teams are. And I think it's a high-scoring game, and I think Southern Cal is going to stay inside the 4.5.
I'm a SEC homer.
You
But
are.
LSU hasn't won a season opener in like 6 years, something like
So
that.
6 years. That's
It's
right.
4, 5, 6 years, something along those lines. Not that that even matters.
Right.
I don't know why I think USC is going to win this game.
Oh,
So I'm going to take the Trojans.
damn! You and I are too close. I had you marked out for USC. I'm scratching, or LSU. I'm scratching.
Look, both teams lost Heisman Trophy quarterbacks.
Yes. But I think they've got very capable guys. I don't know about this Miller Moss kid, but I think
He's a very highly touted kid. Say what you want to say about Lincoln Riley.
Yeah.
That dude always has a QB.
Uh-huh. Yes. I mean, they will figure out how to get the ball down the field. There is no question about that. Southern Cal. But I do like this Nussmeier. I think that's Doug Nussmeier's son, right? I mean, yeah. I figured it. I like Doug. Nice guy. All right, night game. After Florida and Miami are done, you get to enjoy the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. We have a friend whose daughter just enrolled or just started her freshman year up there. And the Notre Dame Fighting Irish with Riley Leonard and, whatever they've got around him against his coach, Mike Elko, who was at Duke with him. Mike Elko, when you have a player and a coach that know each other that well, I always tend to go with the coach.
Absolutely.
So I think so. Mike Elko will know I think he'll know what Riley Leonard is capable of doing, of course. So I like that edge. I love the 105,000 fans at Kyle Field, and I think Texas A&M in 2 weeks, 3 weeks will be one of the more talented teams you see walking here. Doesn't mean they're going to be one of the best, but they're going to have a lot of athletes out there, a lot of players. And Connor Wegman, if he can stay healthy this year, and listen, he broke his foot last year. Other than that, he's always been a healthy quarterback. He just didn't play in his first season there. But he's going to play well, I think, for Texas A&M this season. And I like the Aggies, and I love the Aggies.
I think the Aggies make this game ugly.
Oh, you think they're going to kill Notre Dame?
I didn't say kill them, but I probably dislike Notre Dame more than any team in America. I don't know why. I just think they're arrogant. They have their own network. Nobody gives a damn. They're independent.
Yeah.
I love Riley Leonard, but I just don't know. Notre Dame has done nothing to impress me the last few years. It's been a long time.
I had Sam Hartman
I think A&M, the crowd's going to be nuts.
Oh, it's crazy.
I think A&M wins this by 2 touchdowns is my guess.
Then you got them to easily cover the 3. So yeah, Texas A&M, keep your eyes on them, Gator fans. They'll be here in 2 weeks. All right. So then, how are we going to do Florida, Miami? You're on the voice with.
I think Florida's going to win the game. I do.
Okay,
I'm not being a homer. Until Miami, they're going to have to prove to me that they're back or whatever you want to say. I mean, look,
they're back.
Again, they went 7-6 last year in the ACC. They've played in one ACC championship game since they joined it 20-something years ago. Has it been? I think it's been 20-something years.
It's
one that was under Mark Richt.
Forever.
I want to see if Cam Ward can handle the atmosphere. I don't know if he can or not.
Well,
I just think Florida at home. I think Florida is going to be much improved. Again, it all comes down to the defense.
I mean, it doesn't take Cam Ward a lot to hand the ball off, QB. I mean, if you're just going to give it to Mark Fletcher and Martinez and just
that's why we have to slow down the run game and make him throw the football.
Well, Mario has said this is going to be a muddy, bloody game in the trenches. I do believe they're going to try to really force the run on Florida. Florida should know that's coming. So they have to know it's coming. So I like 31-27. I think the Gators at home will take this game and win it. Florida usually wins their home openers. Doesn't matter who they play. They played Utah 2 years ago, won it.
We haven't lost a home opener, I think, since we lost to Ole Miss in like 1980.
Yeah, way back.
88 or something like that.
That's Eli, right? I mean, isn't it?
Eli was not playing in 1988.
No, okay.
It was like John Forcade or something.
I thought you said 1998. I'm sorry.
88. Kyle was the quarterback.
Oh, Kyle? Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, the Gators probably did.
It was probably Mark Young or
John Forcade. But
John Darnell.
That's a name, boy. All right, well, 31-27 is what I got. I think we're going to see some points on the board, but that doesn't mean it's going to be a badly played defensive game. It just means we're going to see good football, efficient football, and something that doesn't show us a lot of mistakes. That's what I'm thinking. All right, let's go through the 4 big conferences. Then give me a group of 5 team that's going to make the playoff. And that means conference winners. In the Big 12, I've got Oklahoma State. It could go Kansas. It could go K-State. It could go Utah. But I like Oklahoma State. I just like them. I like
give me Cam Rising in his 12th year.
Yeah, I understand. I think he is literally in his 6th year. And that's
I think it's 6th, maybe 8th year.
It's because of his injury. I'm going to take, obviously, this is not going out on a limb, but I'm going to take Ohio in the Big 10. You got them? Ohio State.
The Buckeyes, they spent a lot of money on their team. Let's see, a lot of people like the Oregon Ducks.
They do. That game's going to be in Eugene. It's like in the 5th.
All right, I'll just be different. I'll take the Ducks to win the
they're playing
Big
at home.
10.
They're going to have it makes a lot of sense. 18 teams in the Big 10, 4 of them from the West Coast. Let's go with the ACC. We're both going to take Clemson. And then you're going to take probably the Georgia Bulldogs in our conference, correct?
I think Georgia and Alabama are going to play for the SEC championship.
Boy, that never happens. That's shocking. We never see that game. That game never happens. Well, I like that too. Alabama's beaten them 8 out of 10 times, 8 out of the last 10. Why would it be any different? Give me Alabama.
The more I think about it, I think Texas is going to have more trouble than people think.
And why is that, QB?
Well, do you know what Coach Spurrier told me this the other day, and I'd have to look. I mean, he researches these kind of stats. I don't know if Edgar's on yet or not.
Is it?
But what do you think his winning percentage is, Sarkeesian as a head coach?
I'd say he's just in the high 50 percentages.
Yeah, it's like high 50s, low 60s. Think about where he coached. Yeah. USC,
and Washington,
and Texas.
Yeah.
How do you have that such a low winning percentage at those schools?
But it's true. But
okay, we got to hurry up because Edgar's on. I forgot Edgar.
Okay, all right. Well, listen, I think Gators going to win this game by 4. I want everybody to have a great time. We're going to talk about it on Monday. It'll be Labor Day, and hopefully we'll all be smiling. And
Memphis is my group of 5.
Okay, Memphis Tigers. All right, got it. All right, QB.
Who's yours?
Oh no, you stole mine. I mean, everybody's been talking about how great Memphis is.
Or Boise. Let's go with Boise.
Okay, Boise and Memphis. We'll put them.
All right, that's JC joining us on the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Take a quick time out, come back. Orlando Sentinel's Edgar Thompson. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be back. We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, Titan MRI, Meldon Law, Peachland Dental, QC Kinetics, Campus USA Credit Union, Dave & Buster's. Gridiron sponsors, Comfort Temp, UF Bookstores, Quality Plumbing, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogra State Farm, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, F45. Our touchdown sponsors, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Aikido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, MG&A Wealth, Nest and Wild.
If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Hi there, this is Coach Steve Spurrier, and I want to let you know that by popular demand, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill's delicious brunch is now served in a premium buffet. You have spoken, we have listened, and we're now serving Gainesville's only elevated buffet, complete with an omelet station, ginger sage chicken sausage, shredded short rib, and of course our chicken and waffles. Plus, you can enjoy bottomless mimosas and Bloody Marys. So join us every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 3 for the best brunch in town.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Ruse Ogra State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogrinsurance.com. Give them a call, 352-240-1779. Back to the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. We're joined by the Orlando Sentinels, Edgar Thompson. Good morning, Edgar. How you doing, bud?
Hey, Shane. Almost there, man.
Oh, I can't wait. Can't wait. I won't be able to sleep tonight, Edgar. I'm going to take a lot of sleeping medicine, sleeping pills. Yeah, I'll be too jacked up. Edgar, we got a text here on the Titan MR text line from Larry. He says, Edgar, how much do you make out of the depth chart that they put out each week?
There's a lot of ors on it, but
Yeah,
you can
I
always,
have my thoughts on it.
well, I mean, Cam Wade starting at right tackle, I thought was significant, maybe not completely surprising from what I've been hearing, but that's somewhat significant. I mean, Damian George holding on at right guard, because I think there's been a lot of competition there. I mean, you get some things out of it. Elijah Badger being listed ahead of Khalil, but that's an or. I thought that we haven't heard a lot about Elijah Badger, but I have expected a lot out of him.
Yeah. After seeing a couple of the
Anyway.
scrimmages,
Mhm.
I had a feeling that your starting 3 wide receivers would be DK, Badger, and Trey.
Well, it should be,
Yeah.
but
Um,
based on track record.
Yeah. Andy's question for you, Edgar, is, and I'm going to answer it as well.
Mhm.
Brought to you by Facebook
Well, what's your
Live.
answer in depth chart? You said you have your feelings.
I think they just put it on there just I don't think there's any truth. I don't say truth because there's so many ors in there, and somebody mentioned that it's in like numerical order.
Oh, okay.
So like if I were number 9, you're number 22, and it's like Shane Matthews or Edgar Thompson because you're number 20 something. I don't know if that's true or not. I have to look at it. But they rotate so much in today's world. You know, it's like every other play or every series. But anyway, Andy's question on Facebook Live brought to you by Mel Law. Who gets more snaps tomorrow, Des Watson or Cam Jackson?
Cam Jackson better. Get a
Yeah,
lot.
that's the one everybody, and I know people love Des. I don't see how Des plays a lot in this game.
Cam Jackson needs to have a big year. And,
Yes.
and he is clearly, so I watched some D-line drills. I thought I discussed it on here at one time, just up close a couple of days. He's clearly the most explosive, strongest. When he hits the pad, just everything he does is just a higher level than any of those other interior guys. Slackman's just not as big, plays with a high motor. I love Kelby Collins, but you know, it's like he's given up 60 pounds there. So he's lost 30 some pounds. He was supposed to be a pretty big time guy, I think, for them last year. They were expecting a lot from him. He was very sporadic. Dez has certainly gotten in better shape. They say he's moving better. He can move a pile. You brought this up 2 years ago when I was like in the Dez infatuation phase, that he just doesn't move laterally well enough.
Mm-hmm.
He's just going to cost you because he's going to be grasping at air too much.
Yeah, I just I'll be anxious to see how much he plays. Text on the Titan More text line from someone in the 865 area code, wherever that is. Good morning, QB. If Miami brackets Trey Wilson in coverage, how does this change play calling from your playing days? If a defense tried to neutralize Willie Jackson, did y'all scheme him open or target other receiver? You just call your play. You know, all pass plays. The defense has every defense has a weakness. You got to attack that weakness. So I don't know if they're going to bracket Trey Wilson. That's too risky, in my opinion. You don't see that very often in today's football because that leaves somebody else one-on-one in space. And good question, though. It'll be interesting to see what they do, but it's hard to do that too, as much as we move Trey Wilson around. You know, he's always the motion guy majority of the time. So
how many touches should that kid be getting a game?
At least
we
10.
Talked about this yesterday.
Yeah, at least 10. I mean, I would at least get him 2 of the jet sweeps that are passes. You know what I mean? You'll flip it. And then I would throw him at least a couple of, it depends on if he's in the slot or if he's outside, a couple of wide receiver bubble type screens, at least 2 of those.
Mm-hmm.
But then, when you say touches, obviously you want to target him as the number one guy, whatever you design. Now, it may not be open, so it's got to go to somebody else, but I think they're going to try to get him the ball. Miami knows that as well, but I think that's why the addition of DK and Badger, they've played a lot of football. They got a lot of catches that will help.
Yeah, I mean, you got to get
spread it around.
you got to keep the flies off the kid because they're going to be keying on him. Yeah, I mean, dude, he's got to get 12 to 15 touches in targets.
Yeah, I mean, when you say
You gotta
touches,
feed
you
him,
can't.
man.
It's hard to give a receiver touches. Targets is, you know, if you're a
Well,
running back,
you can bubble him, and plus he's going to do punt returning.
yeah,
I count those as touches. I mean, this
absolutely.
ball's got to be in his hands a ton. So Mark Long and I are walking out the other night and Wednesday. The parking lot's pretty barren, and this beautiful Mercedes lights kind of click, right? And I thought this, I've always been thinking this was Graham Mertz's car for a couple weeks.
Maybe Graham's letting you drive it.
Well, no, we turn around, it's Trey. And he's like one of the last guys leaving that facility, which is what I was talking about yesterday. That's good. He's either studying film, he's working on his recovery that he's talked about. Yeah, well, he's talked about like recovery, like hadn't done a lot of that. Now he's in the cold plunge. Now he's taking care of his body. Look, man, if that guy is one of the last few guys leaving the building, that's a good sign.
Yeah, and I think a guy that a lot of people are forgetting about is Aiden Mizell. I think he's a guy that can really make a difference in the offense due to his speed. And I think I read a clip from one of Billy's pressers. Obviously, you were there, but Billy said that he's one of the most improved players on the team from last year.
He's put on 20 pounds. When he was in high school, he was Orlando Boone, right?
Yeah.
His junior year, I think he was 47 catches, 18 for touchdowns, 22 almost to catch. Then he hurts his leg to open his senior year, first game, didn't play. I mean, he hurt his leg badly. So Steve Wiltfong, the recruiting analyst, he's now at On3, he was at 247, told me a couple years ago. He goes, man, if Mizell hadn't gotten hurt to start his senior year, he was on a trajectory to be a 5-star potentially. So this guy was legit. He just didn't have the physical stature coming in. He was very thin, and I expect big things from him this year.
Yep. Again, in my opinion, it all comes down to our front seven for the year we want to have. Edgar, you wrote an article about the series between Florida and Miami. Any good nuggets, anything that you learned from that you might want to share with our listeners?
I mean, I learned a ton. I mean, I'm not that familiar with like the old history of it. I mean, look, I could go on and on about different games and just the intensity of that rivalry. The 80s were quite the heyday, probably, because that's when Miami started getting up and running. Those Florida teams in the mid 80s were very talented, early mid 80s. They had some Joe Z, who was on here last week, and I listened to and spoke with because of that. You helped get me in touch with them. He said the 86 game was just like a total bloodbath, as he called it. Jarvis Williams, Louis Oliver, Jerome Brown, Testaverde, the beginning of his Heisman year, 23-15 Miami decision. But he said that's the hardest hitting football game he's ever seen. He said 10 guys would have been thrown out for targeting that game if it were now. So games like that, the intensity we just used to be so high. 83, Bernie Kosar first start, 7 turnovers that day for Miami, 28-3 loss, played their way back in it and beat Nebraska for its first of 5 national titles. There was 85 game, I think, where Kerwin, had 4 TD passes and they beat them. But then 87, he had 3 picks, 5 sacks, 3 fumbled snaps, and they lost 31-4 in the Orange Bowl, just got routed. And I think Jimmy Johnson was upset that they even scored. That team went on to win a national title. So those were the heyday years, but there's all kinds of history. I mean, the series went from 1938 to 87 unimpeded, other than the 1943 game because of the war. 63, they played on the day after Kennedy was assassinated, one of only 5 games. And some guy, Haygood something, I don't have it in front of me. I'm going to look. He ran back. He had a 70-yard touchdown, his only touch for the Gators, and they won 21. Haygood Clark, 27-21, excuse me. They were going to cancel the game, And apparently the Miami sports editor, Jimmy Burns, talked the Miami president out of doing it. And they were playing drums covered in black cloth before the game. So that was and then the last one I'll mention, 81, Mark Richt off the bench to replace Jim Kelly, down 9 in the fourth. You figure it's over. Rallies him, guy hits a 55-yard field goal that Danny Miller hits the left upright and falls over, and they win 21-20. So there have been some fun. I mean, it was fun. I learned a lot. And the 2003 game was talked about, obviously 33-10. I was at that one. The Zucker, 33-10 lead, couldn't hold it because of Brock Berlin. But, there's a lot of history, but they've only played 6 times since 87. But what was Jason Marshall's comment was, look, they watched this video. Apparently Billy has the team watch an hour-long video on rivals that they have. They did, and they said they all learned a lot from it. But Marshall's like, the nastiness between the teams had toward each other's hate there. And he expects, though, he's like, look, hey, we're fired up, man. He's from Miami. So this is going to be a hard-hitting, emotional game. And I mean, look, can the stakes get any higher? You got 2 teams that were a combined 1-9 in their last 10 games last year. You got 2 coaches that they're not in the hot seat, but they definitely need a good win entering a pivotal year, in my opinion, at least for perception, if not for their futures. So there's a ton on the line. I'm pumped for the game. We've been talking about it for months. So anyway.
Yeah. Mark says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum, big jump from the Ivy League to the SEC. Talking about Joyce. Yeah, it is. But remember, Jared Verse went from Albany, whatever league they play in, was a really good player for Florida State last couple of years. So
that's good.
It's you can be a good player at those levels and still be able to contribute. And I think he will for sure.
Blackman needs to stay healthy because he had the history of injury and he got dinged a little bit, maybe with a knee, but he just needs to stay healthy and they need to have a rotation. Jamari Lyons' injury I'm not going to say it's going to loom large, but that wasn't great. That's a position where you need to be rotating guys and keeping guys fresh. And that was a depth guy.
Jack's question, let me see if I can pull it back up here on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. He says, Edgar, what are your thoughts in the new SEC required injury notification and the penalties for not being accurate on it?
I like it. There's a lot of money being wagered in these college football games. I know NFL Sundays are like billions. I'm sure college football is getting up there. And especially with the availability of these apps now that you can just bet, Hard Rock app, whatever. There needs to be, look, and these guys are getting paid now, the players. The game is just changed, man. It's professional. And no one would argue otherwise. So there needs to be injury reports. And you don't have to do it for non-conference games, which is why this week there was no availability report this week. But it turns out Miami has not even provided a depth chart or anything. They're just like, so Billy's like, yeah, whatever. We're not telling you anything either. At least he did a depth chart.
Silverback Concrete builds firm foundations for generations. You stand on it, we stand by it. A few more minutes with Edgar Thompson and the Orlando Sentinel. Edgar, let me ask you this. You've been there every day since training camp started, media with the players, with Billy. Just your honest vibe, what you feel coming from the players and from Billy. Does it seem different than last year? Or the previous 2 years, I should say?
God, man, I can remember like facts and stuff, like emotions of a year ago. I'm sure they were optimistic and talking, positively about things. And I think Billy did think last year's team was going to be pretty good. But now I can buy it more. They've made a ton of changes. It's a point Mark Long's made that I like, is you got to give Billy credit. He just didn't dig his heels in and say, look, this is going to work. He changed a lot with his staff and all the behind the scenes stuff. The roster's 35 new guys. So yeah, Billy is a lot of changes. A lot of veteran guys, though, still coming back, and the key one being Graham Mertz. And then a lot of young guys. I mean, Trey Wilson's still only a sophomore. Jordan Castell. Some of these young players. I mean, Kelby, I mentioned. I'll tell you a guy who sounds like he's been popping, and I'm really not surprised, but it might surprise listeners. Cam James apparently has been looking really good. And I remember last year we're indoor. I used not to like the indoor practices but we only get 15 minutes or so anyway. And you can watch like drills better, like position, indie stuff. And Cam James last year just kind of popped one day for me. I was like, man, this guy's got some get off and length. He was off the line more quickly, I thought, than Sapp and others. And he's number 24. He's 6'5.5", 267. I think, anyway, some of these young guys, my point being, you got a lot of young players who are going to try to make that year 2 leap. There's reasons for optimism. What I want to see on Saturday, Shane, you keep talking front seven and defense. I want to see Billy Napier, man, call a good football game and a clean game, an operationally clean football game. None of this delay a game stuff where you're like, what? Or timeouts where you're like, huh, why are you calling one now? Or men on the field thing, disorganized, two guys with green dots or something, because you now have the helmet communication.
Right.
I don't want to see any of that stuff. And I want to see, some explosiveness on this offense. I know you said the offense wasn't the problem last year, and I averaged 30.5 points, which was 5th in the SEC in league games. Did a lot of that, though, against the weaker defenses. I want to see this offense open up a little bit, and some of that's on Graham Mertz and the offensive line too. So I'm really eyes on Billy, man, and let's see what he's got this year, and if we're going to find out within about 6 weeks here if he's able to coach at the SEC level, because he hasn't proven so far that he's made for that.
Yeah,
is that fair?
No, I'm with you there. However, sometimes in games you have to call timeouts. My buddy, one of my best friends, who I think is as good as anybody, is close to Coach Spurrier that you'll ever find, Kerwin Bell. He had to call 2 timeouts. He had to call 2 timeouts last night, and he got to delay a game in the first quarter. So it happens.
Kerwin was the lead of my Florida Miami story. I talked to him. He was my guy. He was very helpful.
I could care less about play calling and all that, because good plays don't always work, and you can call a bad play and it works. People may not know that. I'm more concerned about front 7.
I know you are.
That's all I give a damn about.
And it's true. I don't argue the fact that the defense was a sieve last year, and it makes it very difficult when you're always playing knowing that you really don't want the defensive unit on the field in some games. I get it.
Before we get out of here, these 2 comments on YouTube brought to you by Quality Plumbing, one from Mike and one from Mark. Says these new age Gator fans know nothing about the rivalry back in the day. And he says back in those days, the high school players stayed in state, so these rivalries were heated from high school. I mentioned that yesterday with Brent Beard. It's so true, because I had Gino on. Gino's from California. I'm from Mississippi. We never played in this rivalry, so we had no idea what it was about, and still really don't, quite honestly. And back in the 80s, when it was Florida State, and Miami. Now in the 90s, I meant. Those are the 3 main teams that were top 5. Florida State, we played every year, obviously, but we had so many kids from that were teammates of the guys from Florida State. There was so much hatred there. In today's college football, it's changed so much, because it's national recruiting, regardless of the school. And like you said, Florida and Miami have not played in so long. I bet a lot of these kids, like you said, they had to watch that video to figure out what it's all about.
That 2021 class of Dan Mullins, he didn't end up signing, as Billy ended up dealing with that class. But I think that that Jaden Gibson kid or whatever was the only one in it that was in the top 20 players in Florida. And if you go look year to year, even recently, the Gators aren't getting a lot of the top 25 recruits in the state. And I bet you back then they were getting half of them or a third of them.
Yeah.
So it has changed quite a bit, and it's a great point. And that definitely creates more animosity when there's that familiarity.
Yeah. Dan says, is that really a penalty with two guys, a green dot? Yeah, the green dot signifies who has the helmet communication. So obviously most middle linebackers will have it on defense.
Mhm.
So that means your safety can't be out there with one on as well. So
Yeah, and that's where it would happen.
Guy.
It would happen on defense because there's going to be multiple like options on defense.
The quarterbacks are the only ones that have it.
Exactly.
All right, Edgar, great stuff as always, my friend. We'll see you in the press box.
Yeah,
Don't
look
eat
forward
too much
to
up
it.
there. All right, that's
Thanks for having me.
Edgar Thompson. Join us on the Take No More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Tent. We'll be back here Monday, folks. Recap the game. For all the negative folks out there, buckle up. I don't want to hear you if we win the game. You're welcome to complain if we lose and say you're right. But I think the Gators win this game. I think we're ready to play. It's going to be a wild, wild atmosphere. Can't wait. Have a great weekend, folks. We'll see you on Monday. Take care.